ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Namaste, my dear friends. This is video number 4 on Ashtavakra Gita, a most important treatise on Advaita Vedanta. This video starts with chapter 3, Test of Disciples' Self-Realization. Ashtavakra Uvach. अविनाशी आत्मनामेकं विज्ञाय तत्वतः तत्वा ततं जस्य धीरस्य कथं थार्जने रतिः. Ashtavakra said, having known yourself as really indestructible and one, how is it that you, serene and knower of self, feel attached to the acquisition of wealth? Janka is not yet fully established in the state of self-realization. Ashtavakra is therefore testing him and pointing out the anomalies of his behavior in order to improve him. How, etc. A man of self-realization knows himself to be perfect, immortal, and all in all, and does not want anything. How can he long for wealth? Verse number 2. आत्मा ज्ञान दहो प्रीति विषम भ्रम गोचरे सुक्तिर्ज्ञान तो लोभो यथा रजत विभर्मे. Alas, as greed arises from the illusion of silver caused by the ignorance of mother of pearl, even so arises the attachment to the objects of illusory perception from the ignorance of the self. Ashtavakra is pointing out to Janka that his attachment to the things of the world is due to the ignorance of their true nature. For nothing but the self really exists, the objects of the senses being only an illusion. When the self is truly known, our attachment to the so-called sense objects ceases, even as our greed of silver ceases when the mother of pearl is known. Verse number 3. Visvam safurti yatredam tranga iv sagre so ham mastmit priti vigyaya kim deen iv dhavasi. Having known yourself to be that in which the universe appears like waves on the sea, why do you run about like a miserable being? Why, etc. All our fear, misery, helplessness, or want proceed from the conception of the universe as other than our own self. As the waves are no other than the sea itself, even so the universe is nothing but our own self. One attaining such knowledge should become serene, fearless, and self-contained. Stanza number 4. Srutvapi Shuddha Chaitanya Ematmanamati Sundaram Upasthe Atyanta Sansakto Malinyam Adhigacchati. even after hearing oneself to be pure consciousness and surpassingly beautiful, how can one be attached to the lust and thus become unclean? How, etc. Self knowledge and lust cannot exist together. He who has known the self cannot find any other thing beautiful and attractive. Lust is coveting the body, unclean. Lust creates and increases the body consciousness and is an unclean condition of mind. It clouds spiritual consciousness. Stanza number 5. सर्वभूतेषु चात्मानं सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि मुनिर्जननत् आश्चर्यं मम तव मनुवर्तते. It is strange that the sense of ownership should continue even in the sage who has realized the self in all and all in the self, sense, etc. It arises out of the sense of duality in which the true nature of the self is unknown and other things are considered to be existing outside oneself, and there is a desire to possess them. Stanza number 6. आस्थितः परमा अद्वैतम मोक्ष अर्थे अपि व्यवस्थितः आश्चर्यं काम वशगो विकलः केली शिक्षया. Strange that abiding in the supreme non-duality and intent on liberation, one should yet be subject to lust and be unsettled by the practice of amorous pastimes. Stanza number 7. Adbhutam ज्ञानत उद्मित्रम धार्यात अति दुर्बलः आश्चर्यम कामामाक्षेत कालम अनंत मनु आश्रितः. It is strange that knowing lust to be an enemy of knowledge, one who has grown extremely weak and reached one's last days should yet be eager for sensual enjoyment. Stanza number 8. Iha mutra viraktasya nitya anitya vivekinah आश्चर्यम मोक्ष कामस्य मोक्षादेव विभीषिका. It is strange that one who is unattached to the objects of this world and the next, who discriminates the eternal from the transient, and who longs for emancipation, should fear emancipation itself. Emancipation should be afraid of losing their so-called individuality. Stanza number 9. धीरस्तु भोजे मानो अपि पीडिया मानो अपि सर्वदा आत्मानं केवलं पश्यन् न तुष्यति न कुप्यति. But fatigued and feasted or tormented, the serene person ever sees the absolute self and is thus neither gratified nor angry. But from verse 2, verse 8 of this chapter, the anomalous conditions of the half-hearted sadhaka have been described. Ashtavakra has pointed out therein the contradictions of his life and practice, indicating that true self-knowledge there was not yet, From the ninth verse on, the mind and practice of a true Jnani are being pointed out. Serene, one whose mind is not agitated even when there are causes to make it so. Stanza number 10. चेष्टमानं शरीरं स्वं पश्य अत्यन् शरीरवत् संसत्त्वे चापि निन्दायां कथम् अक्षुभ्ययेत महर्षय. The high-souled person witnesses his own body acting as if it were another. As such, as such, how can he be disturbed by praise or blame? How, etc. Praise and blame have always reference to one's behavior, which is expressed through bodily actions. But if one finds one's bodily and mental actions to have no connection with oneself, one is not affected by praise or blame. The Jnani finds that the mind and the body and their activities to be different from the self. Stanza 11. Maya matrim idam viswam pashyan vigad kautukah api sannihite mrityavu katham trashyati dhiradhi. Realizing this universe as mere illusion and losing all interest therein, how can one of steady mind fear even the approach of death, losing, etc.? One cannot have any interest in a non existent thing, fear, etc. The self is eternal, birthless, deathless. Births and deaths are really illusory phenomena. A knower of self, therefore, has no reason to be afraid of the dissolution of the body, by which the self is not affected in the least. Stanza number 12. निःस्पृहं मानसं यस्य नैरास्ये अपि महात्मनः तस्य आत्मज्ञानत्रपस्य तुलना केन जायते. With whom can we compare that great souled one contented with the knowledge of self, who is desireless even in disappointment, desireless, etc. Even in disappointment, the ordinary man cannot give up his desire. On the other hand, he often sticks faster to it. Such, however, is not the case with the man of realization. He cannot really have any disappointment because he has no desire. But even when there are causes for disappointment, for he also engages in action and may sometimes fail, he remains unaffected. He does not stick to his desires and suffer. Stanza number 13. स्वभावादेव जनानो दृश्यं तन्ने किश्चने इदं ग्राह्यम् इदं त्याजं स किं पश्यति धीरधिः. Why should that steady mind, one who knows the object to be in its very nature nothing, consider this fit to be accepted and that fit to be rejected object, the internal and external universe, nothing in an absolute sense, The self alone is existent. Everything else is really non existent and is but an illusory superimposition on the self. Hence, the wise become unattached to the objects of the world and neither hanker after those objects which give pleasure nor shun those which give pain. Stanza number 14. अंतस् अंतस्त्यक्त कषायस्य निर्द्वन्द्वस्य निराशिषः यत् भृक्षयागतो भोगो न दुःखाय तुष्टये. He who has given up worldly attachment from his mind, who is beyond the pairs of opposites, and who is free from desire, to him any experience coming as a matter of course does not cause either pleasure or pain. Pairs, etc., such as happiness and misery, heat and cold, etc. Experience, object of experience. All our pleasures or pains arise from contact of the senses with pleasure giving or pain producing objects, which makes us attached to the former and hate the latter, but they cannot produce any pleasurable or painful sensations if we have neither attraction nor repulsion for them and allow them to come as a matter of course. Chapter 4. Glorification of self realization. Ashtavakra Uvach. हंता आत्मज्जस्य धीरस्य खेलतो भोगलीलया नेहि संसारवाही मूढ़ै से समानता. Ashtavakra said, O the man of understanding, the knower of self, who plays the game of life, has no similarity to the deluded beast of the world, who, etc., because the enjoyment of the world is like play to a man of realization who is unattached to it and is not affected by it. Beasts, etc., men attached to the world and buffeted by its joys and miseries. They cannot look upon the world as a play. Stanza 2. Yat padam प्रेप्सो दीनः शकाद्याश्रवदेवतः अहो तत्र स्थितो योगी ने हर्षमुपगच्छति. Oh, the yogi does not feel elated abiding in that state which Indra and all other gods hanker after and become unhappy, does etc., because he feels that to be only natural to himself. We feel elated only when anything unaccustomed yet much coveted happens to us. But Satchit Ananda is our very being and is nothing unaccustomed to be to the knower of self. State the absolute existence, bliss supreme, unhappy because they cannot attain it. Stanza number 3. तजस्य पुण्य पापाभ्याम सुपर्शो हयंत तर्न जायते न हयाकाशस्य धूमेन दृश्यम अनापि संगति. The heart of one who has known that is not surely touched by virtue and vice Just as the sky is not touched by smoke, even though it appears to be. Stanza number 4. आत्मैवेदं जगत् सर्वं ज्ञातं येन महतं न यदृच्छया वर्तमानं तं निषेद्धुम् अक्षमेत् कः. Who cannot prohibit that great souled one who has known this entire universe to be the self alone from living as he pleases, from etc. The man of supreme realization is beyond all scriptural injunctions. He is supremely indifferent to all the prescribed laws of conduct, for these all are formulated for ignorant minds. That, however, does not mean moral anarchy, for it is said in the scriptures that the man of realization does not stoop to evil actions, as all even propensities, sanskaras, are annihilated before the highest state of realization is reached. As Sri Ramakrishna put it, an expert dancer never takes a wrong step. Stanza number 5. आब्रहं तं प्रियन्ते भूतग्रामे चतुर्विधे विगस्यौ हि सामर्थ्यम् इच्छानि अनिच्छा विवर्जते. Of the four kinds of created beings, from Brahma down to the clump of grass, it is the wise one who alone who is capable of renouncing desire and aversion. 4 etc. Namely, Zaryuja born from uterus, Andaja born from egg, Svedja generated by warm vapor or sweat, and Udbhija sprouting up. Here it means the entire creation comprising also gods and other subtle beings, it etc. As long as a man is ignorant of the true nature of himself and the universe, he must have desires and aversions. Certain things he will consider good and desirable, and others opposite. But one who has known himself and the world as Brahma sees only one and has therefore no special likes or dislikes. He takes things playfully. He may seem attached to one thing one moment, but the next moment he may totally forget it. Stanza number 6. आत्मा आनम द्वयम् कश्चि जानाति जगदीश्वरम् यद्वेति तत् स कुरुते ने भयं तस्य कुत्रचित्. Rare is the man who knows the self as one without a second, as well as the Lord of the universe. He does what he knows and has no fear from any quarter, knows, considers worth doing. A knower of self has no duty as ordinary men have, compelled by environments and their limitations, has etc., because he sees nothing outside himself. At this point, I complete this video, and video number 5 will start with chapter number 5, 4 ways to self realization. Thank you for watching this video. Namaskar, my dear friends. Thank you. Namaste.